While Team Banzai is preparing for the infiltration of Yoyodyne, the president is hearing worse news. The jamming of their communications has already started, and the debate now is whether or not this is a code red, or if a code red will only make it worse. Jack Nicholson would certainly agree. But the fact is that the Russians have gone to DEFCON 2, so that makes the decision for them. While the general's knees are knocking, Buckaroo heads over in his rocket car, and Penny is brought to the pit for further torture, which gets more and more bizarre as it goes on. And with the activity taking place, the president is on the verge of declaring war on the Soviet Union, and will almost certainly lead to Armageddon, and not the good kind with Aerosmith. I mean the bad kind involved in that DC Comics crossover. Dr. Lizardo gives a speech to his followers. This is a race war, it seems. Red Lectroids versus black Lectroids, and he's riling them up.
Where are we going? When? Real soon!
That's when Buckaroo shows up, but his rocket car is useless without the piece that Penny has, and they can see that. So they decide to take him to the shock tower, while Penny... I hope you don't mind me saying, lady, but you have fine legs, and as a tarantula, believe me, I've seen a lot of legs. As you can imagine with anything the Lectroids make, the shock tower is a jerry-rigged mess, and very literal. Buckaroo is wired in, his hand placed over a keyboard to enter equations, which might be hard because it's a piano keyboard and not a computer one. Oh, and if he's uncooperative or deceptive, he'll get zapped.
Sealed with a curse as sharp as a knife. Doomed is your soul, and damned is your life.
I was going to save this for the end, but damn, if Lithgow doesn't just seem bigger than the screen, he's just amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anyone so skillfully pull off going big without going ham.
Big booty. More power to him. Big booty.
Yeah, I'm sticking with big booty. You don't like it? You should have thought about that when you were kidnapping Orson Welles.
And remember, there is no fish stick like Mrs. Pell's.
This isn't a commercial.
I know, that was just a declaration of love.
Dr. Lizardo reveals the poor, tortured Penny and says she'll face a fate even worse than the late Rawhide if he won't cooperate. But even now, he won't help. So he gets a shock to the chamois while the Hong Kong Cavaliers come riding to the rescue, thanks to the Secretary of Defense running interference with the guards at the gate. So with them inside, they can stealthily make their way into the facility, where they discover what a pigsty this place is. It's got some charm in a Toxic Avenger becomes a hoarder kind of way, but... Damn drop bears. John Parker takes care of that one, but there are tons more of them. Fortunately, it's like they all just got finished getting high or something, and they're just lounging around, looking at simple things. Some are munching. Basically, it's any college around 3 a.m. Sunday morning. Well, Perfect Tommy fails to live up to his name by having his watch go off and alerting Electroid to their presence, so he sounds the alarm. While shooting him, they blast the electrical box powering the shock tower, much to Dr. Lizardo's annoyance, and he orders that Penny be killed to death. And for my favorite visual gag of the film, the more I look at it, the more it makes me chuckle. While he completely disregards the sign to trying to uncover their secrets, New Jersey comes across Buckaroo, handing him an extra gun. Good. Now these two can do a little anesthesia-free neurosurgery. Do you concur, Doctor? Absolutely, Doctor. You're using the 22 for this operation? I find the small size enhances precision operations like these. We should really discuss this over golf later. Meanwhile, the secretary found John Big Booty overseeing work on some huge craft, but he's more concerned about the bomb or Yoyodyne is supposed to be making for them. Finding them with a girl strapped down in the basement with ants and a tarantula on her, well, that's really not his concern.
This place, don't you have any pride? It looks like a damn pigsty.
Although I can see a sort of feng shui about the place. John O'Connor is disappointed that he's not going to be able to stay and watch the whatever the hell this thing is slowly kill Penny, But John Big Booty does not stop for such pleasures. John Big Booty knows there is no wine before it's time. Fortunately, that means that Buckaroo in New Jersey can get there in the nick of time to get rid of that slug thing, while the secretary digs through Penny's purse looking for the ovulating overpasser. John Big Booty knows how critical it is to their plans, but Dr. Lizardo intends to just launch anyway, using the one from the original experiment. Yeah, we're kicking it old school today. Buckaroo and John Parker sneak aboard, finding, amusingly, the cockpit has a framed picture of Dr. Lizardo there. What's great about it is, first, that it's a photo of him looking annoyed. So it's not like it was a convenient photo of him placed there to show this is his spot. He very specifically saw himself borderline scowling and decided to frame and display that moment. Second, this is a picture of the human body that he's possessing. So altogether, it paints a picture of a very warped form of vanity. Then again, he's just generally full of himself.
It won't work! It won't work!
Shut up, John Big Booty, you coward! You're the weakest individual I ever know!
Digital feedback. With help from the, I'm not making this name up, John Many-John, they begin moving, intending to pass into the wall and thus into the 8th dimension. But John Big Booty is sure that trying to use this tech from 1938 to pass through a solid wall is a bad idea. What a worrywart.
We had a chance, you overthrust us with shit! One more word out of you, Big Booty! Bigfoot Tay! Tay! Tay!
This is exactly why I never correct people who spell my name with an E instead of a U. Looks like John O'Connor is going to have to take over wearing the meat vest now that John Big Booty has had early retirement. Of course, being dead don't mean you're wrong, and sure enough, the ship smashes through the wall and begins flying over New Jersey. But he ejects the portion of the ship with Buckaroo and John Parker aboard. Fortunately, these Nimrods have rather naked design elements, so Buckaroo quickly manages to power it up and take off after the main ship. And the weapon system is literally a gun. So Buckaroo can fire lasers if he can just figure out how to aim them.
I'll see you in hell!
But you're already in New Jersey. With that, the occupants in the incredibly high chairs shut down their plan to start a nuclear war, and Buckaroo parachutes back to Earth to meet up with his posse. Meanwhile, the Secretary of Defense is trying to bribe the kid into giving him the Ocelopteryx for $20, but the kid just settles on robbing him. Considering the guy wanted to steal Buckaroo's car, I have no problem with that. But there's bad news. While Penny was recovered, I guess the damage was too much. New Jersey wasn't able to save her.
The president's on line 1 calling about is everything okay with the alien spacecraft from Planet 10, or should he just go ahead and destroy Russia?
Tell him yes on 1 and no on 2.
Try not to mix those up. But yes, Penny is gone. Yeah, I tried rubbing a balloon on her head. I know it's not conventional medicine, but figured it couldn't hurt. I guess that was the work of the good guy Electroid, since we need some kind of proof that they were the good guys, considering they wanted to blow up the world 10 minutes ago. Buckaroo is able to give her the kiss of life, and then it's time for him to cross her 8th dimension. The end. This actually recently was presented as a Buckaroo Banzai novel, if you're interested. Now, the producer did not like ending the film on the note of those two starting to make out, so with the money they had left, they shot this credit sequence of all the characters getting together while music plays. Whether the characters were alive or dead at the end of the film didn't matter. And it's not even a dance routine, but you know what? It is a good note to end on. It really does work. So with that, now it's really the end. Really, really. Oh boy, how to even finish discussing this film. It's a movie that's simultaneously thinking outside the box while kind of illustrating why there is a box. By that I mean the positives all tend to come with their own negatives. For example, the way the story is put together is very unusual. Rather than a traditional 3-act setup, it hops around between different plot lines and genres, and with elements of science fiction, adventure, and comedy that goes into parody. It's a refreshing twist, I'll give him that. However, it makes the plot hard to follow, which is exacerbated by the fact that exposition is presented by people using thick accents. And it also creates wildly shifting tones. Buckaroo Banzai and his Hong Kong Cavaliers are simultaneously too big and too small. They are notable to the point that people hang out outside the Banzai Institute. There's major media about them, and calls from the president are routine. Yet they perform in a nightclub, putting them on a level of not yet discovered and maybe never will be. The enormity of the entourage gives us a wild collection of supporting characters, but there are so many and the plot already overburdened by complexity that they're all surface. Rawhide in New Jersey emerged as the most memorable, with the former showing his right-hand man status the most, while the latter benefits from being the great Jeff Goldblum, whose co-stars really never have a chance against him as he steals the scenes from them. What really helps the film immensely are the villains, who are highly entertaining, performed by great actors, and are complicated by simultaneously being more advanced and more piggish and confounded. John Lithgow is delightful, and despite the makeup, Christopher Lloyd shines through as John Big Boutte. Even Vincent Schiavelli shines in his small role as Lloyd's #1 henchman, showing his skills as a character actor. I guess what I come away with is that the film feels like someone who had only one chance and knew there would never be another one, and so completely threw caution to the wind in all of its aspects, twisting and overstuffing it. This is part of its charm and part of its problem. It's what makes it succeed and what causes it to fail. It's a paradox of a film.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
If you fail, we will be forced to help you destroy yourselves.
I'll tell you, if it ain't one thing, it's another.